WTO is associated with long talks, various tariffs, customs quotas, imports and exports, as well as with other terms which our consumers sometimes do not understand. The task of WTO market program is to break all the barriers between buyers and sellers because we know everything about the prices.
What is the reason for price increase of meat in Kazakhstan? How does the state help domestic meat producers? And what countries do consume meat from Kazakhstan? China is exploring ways of increasing beef production for the domestic market. This August, the country imported almost 7,000 head of cattle from Uruguay. However, instead of cattle, the country usually imports frozen salmon for gene improvement. Artificial meat is conquering the US market. It is grown in laboratories from animal cells. This process lasts from 3 to 6 weeks. A hamburger with an artificially grown cutlet costs $10. China removed restrictions on meat deliveries from Russia. Beijing recognized 49 Russian regions free of African swine fever. This cleared the way of Russian pork to China. However, from it may take several years from ban removal to increase in export. An average citizen of Kazakhstan consumes more than 70 kilograms of meat annually. This is approximately 7 times more than fish and seafood consumption per capita. Kazakhstan is known as a meat country. The population is increasing along with the demand for meat products. As a result, the demand is exceeding the supply. The production of meat is increasing approximately 3% annually. The domestic production of beef in Kazakhstan reaches 90–95%, of mutton 95%, and of horse meat 95%. As for poultry, we are self-sufficient only by 50%. However, its production is also increasing. In other words, Kazakhstan is almost self-sufficient in main types of meat, except the cheapest poultry meat. However, this year the highest growth in prices has been registered in the country in comparison with other EU states. Over the period from January to June 2017, prices for meat in Kazakhstan rose by more than 6.1%. For reference, in Armenia, prices for meat during the same period of time increased less than 4%, in Kyrgyzstan slightly more than by 3%, and in Russia by 0.1%. In Belarus, meat became cheaper by 2%. Experts explain this trend in Kazakhstan by a rapid growth of demand and slower increase in supply. This can be proved by figures. During the first 6 months of 2017, output of meat and meat products in Kazakhstan was 450,000 tons. In the meantime, sales were 60,000 tons more. Favorable tax treatment has been adopted in our country. Thus, we enjoy a 70% discount on all types of taxes. The state also offers easy-term loans to enterprises, which do this business on industrial scales. There are also some types of subsidies which encourage manufacturers to increase their production volumes. At the same time, for small businesses and private supplementary farms, it is more difficult to get an easy-term loan or subsidy despite the fact that they are the principal suppliers of meat to consumers. Their market share is at least 70%, and they need an additional support. As for restrictions imposed to our country by the WTO after joining to this organization, the volume of the amber subsidy box should not exceed 12%. However, we are far from answering the requirements set by the WTO. Another innovation linked to the accession to the WTO is the equal tax treatment since January 1st, 2018, in the form of 12% for foreign and local meat suppliers. Nowadays, domestic manufacturers pay a favorable tax equal to 3.6%. Prices may rise and may remain at the same level. Indeed, for today, it is the market which dictates, in particular, prices for meat imported from Russia. Specialists say that at this moment it is much more important to limit export. We should immediately increase livestock population. Each cow imported to Kazakhstan during its 10-year life bears 8 to 10 calves, and we, instead of importing this meat, can import a cow. The most important thing is that we should keep the state support at the same level and avoid significant changes in the state support. At the end of this September, the Ministry of Agriculture of Kazakhstan presented roadmaps for development of the agro-industrial complex. Among them is the map for fodder production. Currently, the needs of livestock farming companies are the following. It is necessary to increase the production of fodders by approximately 70%, of rich fodders 5 times, and of mixed fodders 2.5 times. Despite the fact that Kazakhstan is almost 100% self-sufficient in meat, the country also needs to import this product. One of the reasons is the necessity to process this meat, make semi-prepared foods and have the opportunity to export these products. Kazakhstan is also making attempts to export its meat.
По экспорту, допустим, мы сейчас наладили контакт рынок сбыта в Иран.
By now, we export mutton to Iran. We also have been working with Russia for a long time. We signed a contract with China for mutton export. 6 enterprises were certified in Kazakhstan, which can export their meat.
Сертифицированы 6 предприятий в Казахстане, которые теперь могут поставлять. Мы ожидаем со следующего года открытия этого направления.
Kazakhstan exports meat to Russia, Kyrgyzstan, China, Tajikistan, Iran and the UAE. The two main and the most promising directions are China and Russia. In 2016, 70% of Kazakhstani meat intended for export was shipped to Russia. During the first 6 months of 2017, Kazakhstan exported to Russia more than 90 tons of pork, 96 tons of mutton and 2 tons of horse meat. To Iran and UAE, 14 tons and 0.1 tons of mutton correspondingly. And to Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan, 119 and 38 tons of poultry correspondingly. Still, beef and poultry are the world's most exported kinds of meat because horse meat and mutton are specific products and pork is not consumed in Muslim countries. Kazakhstan is willing to export its beef, in particular, its most expensive type – marble beef.
Дело в том, что мы работаем на весь Казахстан, начиная с небольшого.
In fact, we are expanding the geography of supplies and currently work for all Kazakhstan. We deliver our product to all urban centers of our country. We also try to ship our products to Moscow, Bishkek and Omsk.
Нашей республики.
Domestic producers consider China the most promising direction. The Ministry of Agriculture of Kazakhstan is expecting to get access to the Chinese meat and poultry market in the first half of 2018. The negotiation process with China consists of several stages. The most important of them is studying by the Chinese party the documents on battling poultry diseases in Kazakhstan. How to select fresh meat? How does Japan defend its beef producers under the WTO? And what are the world's most popular types of meat? All people want to buy fresh meat, so how can we check it? First of all, we should press on it with a finger. Fresh meat has an elastic structure and the pit disappears soon. We can also cut a piece of it. Fresh meat is almost dry in the place of cut. If meat has a loose and swollen structure, it indicates that it may be full of hormones and chemicals. It is important to know that if during defrosting meat emits water with blood and turns dark, it means that it was frozen and defrosted before. We should also know how to select a good chicken. The younger it is, the better its meat. We can also determine the age of a chicken by the color of its fat. Young birds have white fat. Fat of elder ones has a yellowish or grayish color. If a chicken was fed by natural fodder, it should have a round chest and long legs. If legs are disproportionately short in relation to chest, it means that a chicken was grown on steroids. During 2016, the world meat industry produced about 320 million tons of meat. In 2017, a slight growth could be observed. However, it did not exceed 0.5%. At the same time, analysts predict that by 2025, the global meat production will reach almost 360 million tons. Poultry and pork are the most produced and sold types of meat. The structure of the global meat market is as follows: 37% poultry, 36% pork, 22% beef and 5% other types of meat. The market of beef is nearly stagnant. The main reason for that is that currently the US and Russia are building up their own meat industries. In the meanwhile, the poultry market is demonstrating a rapid growth in comparison with others. Japan has introduced protective measures for its domestic meat industry and raised tariffs on imported frozen beef by 50%. This meat is delivered to the country mainly from the US and Australia. Japan is famous with its beef, but its prices, even in the domestic market, are usually twice higher than of imported frozen beef. Usually the tariff for this type of food products is less than 40%. It is important to note that this measure meets the WTO norms.